He's a Calipari disciple. Got that recruiting bloodline. I think they're screwed.
He's doing from a durability and an endurance standpoint is second to none.
Different era. Michael Jordan didn't team chase to get
Barkley, biggest contract ever as a running back.
warning that Aaron Rodgers is coming in to either work out for the Giants or
Airy on the narrative. Best in class, so pray for my peers. Slingshot bullet that's clear. Your weak shots couldn't pierce through bulletproof ears. A martyr, a menace. I'm leading horses to drink and pulling teeth like I'm feeding the dentist. Airy on the narrative.
Welcome to another edition of The Crossover. We're going to get into a lot of different topics today. First topic, University of Miami basketball. Jay Lucas has been hired by the University of Miami. We've been close to that situation, Nev. What are your thoughts on the hire?
I thought it was a really good hire. He's a young coach, which he'll be able to communicate with today's generation, I believe. Easy transition, I think, in that regard. He's a Calipari disciple. Got that recruiting bloodline, basketball family. His father, John Lucas, and he's a Dookie, so he's been prepped properly. And he's an extension of that tree. I think it's a really good hire for them. Right. Honestly, I've been asked by a few people, that know me, what my opinion is. I said on a 1 to 10, I thought it was about probably a 9 as a hire. What
are your thoughts, KD?
Yeah, I like the hire. I think when you get a young coach, you have to be patient with them, and I think you need patience right now with Miami basketball. But as far as his pedigree. John Lucas is a legend as a player, as a coach, as a commentary. Also, what he's done in the AAU scene and how he's a fixture in even today's game. I think he still may work with the Rockets, but, just does programming everywhere. John Lucas III, he's coached in the NBA, he's coached all over the place, played in the NBA. So they have that basketball pedigree. And I think when you have a young coach, you do just have to be patient with him, right? But he's got a proven record of being a good recruiter. I think he's young enough to relate and resonate to players, and so we're just gonna have to help support him and figure out ways that we can keep and retain talent from the South Florida area, because I think we're a hotbed for basketball talent right now.
Yeah, we are. Younger coaches are starting to make more of a splash in the college scene because of NIL. For the longevity of a program, do you think that works? A guy like that doesn't have the pedigree to be able to sustain a winning program, let's say for the next 10, 15 years?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you see coaches with long tenures anymore, right? It changes and it shifts so much. I think there's a changing of the guard a little bit where you're seeing some of the old traditional coaches kind of being frustrated by the new change of the system. And instead of them trying to evolve and adapt in the system, they're just, washing their hands and throwing their hands up. So I think it's a great opportunity for young coaches like this to come in and kind of imprint, their systems into place. And they understand NIL, right? They are adjusting with the times. And those guys are, like Coach Lucas, he's old school enough to understand what the game used to be and where it's kind of going. And you kind of got to jump on the ship or you'll either get thrown off.
Right. Now there's reports coming out. Andrew Moran is getting hired as the assistant coach, Columbus coach. He coached the Boozer Twins.
Yeah.
Who told you?
Maybe a month ago, maybe a little bit.
A little bit more than that, yeah. About
a little bit more.
A little month and a half.
It was definitely in the new year.
Yeah, in the new year, yeah. When I got back from Spain, I told you what was going on.
Yeah, you were on point with that one.
Yeah.
No surprise. You know what these guys are doing in Coral Gables.
There was some prominent ex-NBA guys that wanted that job. And Miami, I don't think took a look at them, and they decided to go with Lucas.
Yeah, I don't think it was a bad move at all. But there were some other options. We both know.
So March Madness is upon us. We're going to get more into it next week. So we'll dive a little bit more into that next week. But let's transition to NBA. A big injury to Kyrie Irving. Hate to see that to a player like that. The Mavericks are getting some heat The media has been saying that they've been running Kyrie into the ground ever since that trade. Thoughts there, Katie?
Yeah, first of all, like, we're in the hurt business. You're always one injury away from being out for the season or having a career-ending injury. So when you see a guy like Jimmy stands up and fights and, kind of, wants to receive his value, you have to understand that it's the hurt business. As far as running Kyrie into the ground, I don't think so. He was the one option at that point. AD was down. He's been a one option several times in his career before, and he was playing beautiful basketball. Unfortunately, he went downhill and his leg went back and he, had an injury. So you can't necessarily blame Nico for that. However, it is a business. Injuries are a part of that business. Trades are a part of that business. And so you have to deal with the consequences of the actions.
Absolutely. Nico is taking a beating, though,
He
from
is.
the media.
He is.
Yeah.
But ticket sales are up like 8%. I think I read that.
They raised it 8%. People are having a heart attack over that. What are your thoughts, Nev?
Well, I moved the decimal over a few spots. I get it. They raised their prices $8. I got to keep it light, man. I hear Keon's got all the comedy in this place. I got to stand up.
Come on now.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, listen, the fans are going to love you or they're going to hate you, man. It's a big move. He's a fan favorite, Luka, and, $350 million or whatever that number is a lot of money.
Initially, I was shocked when I saw that trade. I was like, whoa, where'd this come out of? Because I thought Luka was going to be another Nowitzki that retired there in Dallas. Yeah. And when I saw that trade, I was like, wow. But then when I look at it on paper, I thought it made the Mavericks better.
In the interim,
with AD.
Barring injuries.
Yeah, barring injuries, yeah. If you remove the injuries and just let's play hypothetical, you have Kyrie. You have Klay Thompson, and you also have AD plus the supporting cast. I thought they could have made a deep run in the playoffs.
Yeah, they were built for that.
Yeah,
they were built for that. But that's why I say that the move was good for both teams.
Mm-hmm.
I think in regards to the way that the teams function. As you can see, the Lakers have stepped up. They're second in the West right now. Luka is finding his rhythm, getting his legs back under him, and he's under the tutelage now of LeBron.
He looks like he's lost some weight. Am I imagining shit?
You might be.
I
think
it's
a uniform.
Well, listen, I was there for the first game when Luka played at Lakers. He looked a little fat from where I was sitting.
Right.
He's looking like he's slimming down on TV. TV usually makes you look fatter.
He'll get in better shape.
How do I look in person?
You look cute, bro.
I was gonna say, man, I got a gut, man.
Man, you hide it well, champ.
Don't buy the camera angles, man.
I like the shades, man. What's up with that?
Well, I'm having problems seeing, man. I'm adjusting to, my double ARP situation. Yeah.
Anything else on the Dallas situation?
Nah, I don't think so. I think they're screwed.
Yeah,
they're fucked.
It's over, man. I mean, it's over. Kyrie's out.
They're shutting down AD.
Luka's gone.
Over.
Luka's gone. AD is on his, sabbatical.
Yeah.
And Kyrie is hurt.
Right.
So he's in rehab or gonna be.
Right.
And that's it, man. They're done.
Hate to see that happen.
Yeah,
to
it's
Kyrie.
terrible, man. And it's Keyon said it's the hurt business, and whoever's healthiest normally is last standing.
Last standing, yep.
Yeah.
So moving on to the Lakers, LeBron, 50,000 points, most in NBA history. Where does this put LeBron? Does this put now LeBron's 40, right?
Mm-hmm.
Longevity, right? 22 years, is that, or 20 years? Is it 20 years already in the league? 22?
2003, I think.
2003, 22 years in the league, right? So if he was to win hypothetically a championship this season, does he get closer to Jordan?
I think he's as close as he can be to Jordan. I think he's it's pretty much consensus for most people with a trained eye that LeBron is right behind Jordan. And so I'll keep him right there. At the end of the day, what he's doing from a durability and an endurance standpoint is second to none, right? He might be the best overall player of all time.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the greatest, I don't think so. I don't think you can ever be as great as Mike.
Nev?
I would duplicate without changing a word. That Keyon said to the
Makes
T.
sense.
Right.
To the T.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't care how he could win 4 more rings.
Mm-hmm.
See, I don't base it on how many titles you've won. This is a different era. Michael Jordan didn't team chase to get a ring ever. And
Good
to
point.
me, that means a lot.
Right.
Like, he took whatever was there. And I know he dealt with Jerry Krause. And, I don't want to speak that Krause didn't do his job because they got 6 titles. Yeah, they had Michael Jordan. But listen, man, Rodman coming in there on that second ride, that's not like the easiest lineup to handle from a personality standpoint. And you could see a lot of it that bubbled over after the Last Dance and whatnot. So, like, that's, those guys deserve a lot of credit. And I just look at a guy like Jordan, I just say he did it in an era when it was like real. And no knock on LeBron. Physical ability unmatched. 22 years playing NBA basketball. You're sitting with a guy who played 13. And ask him what it's like. How would you have felt playing 2 of those careers?
Well, especially with the old rules,
Right.
not so good.
Right.
And I think that's another beautiful thing about LeBron. He's been able to do it across different rule changes in the evolution of the game, where like you just don't see this happening. He's an anomaly. He's a one of one. And I really personally, I wish people would just like really enjoy and embrace him while we have him.
Yeah.
Because we might not see another one of those.
Right.
Man,
I agree.
We
That
just
is
got to
such a
enjoy
good-
this greatness, and try and
Yeah,
celebrate.
it's always a good debate for clickbait and all that.
Yeah, that's a
Not
great
that we're
point.
trying to do that here, but 50,000 points, would that ever get broken?
I don't think so.
I don't either.
I don't think it's possible.
The longevity factor. Who's playing 22 years?
At
Maybe
that
someone
level.
comes along. Highly unlikely. And with the money that's being paid these days for media gigs and situations like that, who would want to play 22 years?
Right.
It's life's easier,
Mhm.
And I agree with Keyon everything he said.
Sure.
There's nothing LeBron can do to get to number 1 in my eyes.
Yeah.
In my eyes, I can't speak for others,
Mm-hmm.
but in my eyes, he's
Yeah, and I think you're kind of right. And I'll add this. I think you got to put them in their own category.
Yeah.
Jordan is Jordan and probably the best ever, but you got to respect LeBron's career and admire what he's done because it's special.
anybody who feels that he's the best player of all time is entitled to that opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed.
And you can't even say that it's not a good argument. It is.
Mhm.
But if you're asking me individually, I'm a Michael Jordan era. I
Right.
know what that guy
From
is.
the accolade standpoint, I have him here. I'm not going to read them out because you guys can Google it.
Yeah.
Jordan has him beat, and with a
Yeah.
lot fewer seasons.
And whatever it was,
And
just
LeBron has him beat by 500 games.
Keyon said one really important thing. Different era. Jordan did it in a real, man, everything was an aggravated battery
Yeah.
in those days.
Yep.
This guy, you can't even go,
Yep.
he's going to the line. So, LeBron, incredible. What's there to
Mm-hmm.
say? Incredible. One word, incredible. But he'll never overtake Jordan in my eyes.
Yep. So then
Agreed.
we're going to transition. Shaq made some comments about Curry, and I'm going to read them. As the supreme leader of the Big Man Alliance, I demand you fast to start putting Steph Curry in the greatest all-time conversation. Just start putting him in that conversation. There's Michael Jordan, there's Kobe Bryant, there's LeBron James, there's Steph Curry. Is he worth to be in that conversation?
Yeah, I think Steph is one of the greatest players and one of the best players of all time, but not the greatest. I still kind of rank him behind Magic Johnson as number 2 all-time point guards because the way that he's played the game, the success that he's had, and it didn't come easy for him initially, right? He evolved into this guy. The game kind of evolved and changed on his watch. He's actually impacted the rules of the game and the way that we play the game now. Like when Steph came on the scene, like shooting walk-up threes and things like that weren't really heard of. Shooting the ball and turning away from it and things like that. So he's definitely one of the greatest players of all time, one of the best point guards, in my opinion, top 2 point guards of all time. But as far as like when you talk about like that Mount Rushmore, I don't think he's ascended to that point. I don't think he could ever get to that particular point. And that's not to minimize his greatness.
Sure. Nev?
I don't know why you have me. This guy says everything I think.
You can walk out.
Yeah.
Let yourself out.
No, but really, he's incredible. Who doesn't love Steph Curry?
Yeah.
Who doesn't love the?
Well, I got to admit something. I didn't think he was going to be what he is today.
Who did?
When he first came into the league, I
Yeah.
remember talking. I mentioned his name last time, but I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to throw him under the bus.
But
I
who-
catch a lot of heat.
Yeah, but who did?
Yeah.
Like nobody. Who saw this
Yeah.
coming?
Yeah.
Former point guard in the NBA. I was speaking to him. I saw him at Jason Taylor's Hall of Fame induction. I said, let me ask you something. Is Steph the real deal? What's up? Like, he goes, that motherfucker sucks. we were wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were wrong.
Yeah,
we were
no.
wrong.
He's incredible.
He also benefited from the rules change because Steph played in an era initially when he first got in
check.
where you could hand check.
Right.
And as a smaller player, the lack of mobility, it's not mobility, but freedom of movement.
You create your shot
You
a lot
could
easier.
your physicality, the physicality that you had to play against, a lot of times could take you away from your skill set. They thought that was bad for the game. So they wanted more freedom of movement. They wanted a faster pace to generate more points and things like that. So I think, Steph came along in a time and a space where his game was conducive to the style and the rules and the regulations.
I saw a game
And he
the
took
other
it
day. I forgot what game I was looking at the box score, 150 to 146. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
in Memphis.
Yeah, the Memphis game. I was like,
Yeah.
I think that was a score. I mean,
Yeah, it was-
that would have
it was-
ever
it was
happened.
NBA
It was an overtime game.
It was an NBA All-Star score.
Yeah, exactly. But that would have never happened in the old era.
Andy, do you think we as old school OG consumers of the game have to shift the way that we view the game and the beauty of it? Because I remember, the Knicks and the Heat playing in the playoffs and things like that, and there was 80-point score.
Right. And Charlie
7
Ward getting slammed on the floor.
all those different things, right? And
That was
because
hard to watch.
well, it was fun to watch.
It was fun.
but it was hard to watch. It wasn't a lot of bucket getting, and the game wasn't as big then.
Sure.
So just because we started viewing and loving the game in the 80s or the 70s or the 60s, because it's a lot of us old school OGs, that have an issue with the game. I think we gotta look at ourselves a little bit and say maybe we're being a little bit too difficult and hard on this generation, because guess what? The gambling isn't.
Right.
Guess what? The endorsement, the people who, the corporate sponsorships, they're still coming. The
Checks-
television deal.
Checks are
is
getting bigger.
The checks are getting bigger. So I just think we got to be careful with like how we view the game, and maybe we have to shift and be able to appreciate the speed, the athleticism, the skill set more so than the continuity and the rivalries and the physicality.
Yeah, listen, scoring brings money, right? Scoring brings revenue. Football, they've laxed the rules. In basketball, they've laxed the rules. In baseball, they've laxed the rules because they want to see more of an offensive game. That's just it.
Yeah.
That's what puts people in the stands. They want to see.
I hate the shift, man. I wish the feds would change their game too. They're not changing their rules.
No,
They're not loosening up their
They
rules.
make the rules.
I just had to put a little spice in there for us.
All right, so let's go to NFL free agency. Saquon Barkley, biggest contract ever as a running back. Thoughts?
Deserved. Fucking brass ring. Pay him. He deserves it. Quality, class act, top notch, top of the food chain. Delivered took an absolute.
Is he the best athlete you've ever seen at running back?
athlete? No.
No, I think in my
Yeah, I can't.
existence from starting to watch football,
I don't want to
he's
say
up
I
there.
have someone in mind.
Who do you have in mind?
I don't.
I have someone in mind.
Who do you have?
Barry Sanders.
Yeah,
Bo Jackson.
Bo Jackson. There
Yeah,
you
he's
go.
there. He's in there.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
No, that's it.
Yeah,
That's it. That's the.
but he's in there.
But yeah, he's up
in there.
Yeah, he's something.
You
Yeah.
think Bo Jackson could have jumped over a guy?
I bet Bo probably would have ran through the
Ran
guy.
Yeah,
no,
right,
right.
right.
No
Ran around
right.
the guy.
Man, do you know how big that guy was? Bo Jackson.
What's that?
Man, he was a big dude, man, and he rode like
6'2", I think, right? 6'1".
6'2", 235. Man,
Yeah.
he was secretariat, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Dude, was good call, Keyon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
Bo knows.
He does.
Bo
So-
knows.
and so do I. He's right.
But I'm happy for Barkley.
Yeah.
We talked about the NBA and the different style that they had back in our era.
Mm-hmm.
I miss seeing running of the football. I miss seeing running backs. I loved watching Emmitt Smith. I love watching Eric Dickerson. I love watching Christian Okoye.
Right.
I love watching, the different styles. Barry Sanders, all
Walter
these different
Payton.
guys. And these guys touch the ball a lot of times 20 to 30 times
yeah.
a game.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was
So
it was a man's game.
It's a man's game, and they use them in the passing game. And if they're not getting the ball, sometimes they have to stop. They have to step up and stop the blitzes. So they're taking on linebackers and defensive ends and tackles, and they're having to step up. So the devaluing of the running back position, I just don't understand it. Even if the window is short, pay them according to the value that they bring. They shouldn't be minimized because the position has been deemed to be too volatile and not having a long shelf life.
Mm. But do you think it's because it's more of there's a more of a supply thing, because everything in life, right, that has value is it's because of supply and demand, and there's just more supply of the running backs in the market and coming out of college.
Yeah,
That creates the value to come down.
It's taken a significant change.
Right.
Like Chris Johnson ran for 2,000 yards, and I remember he was holding out for a big deal, and he was out of football like 2 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Did he drop off that much?
Right.
Yeah.
Or are you just that much of a depreciated asset? It's crazy. I'm glad Philadelphia took care of Saquon Barkley.
Right.
He deserves
He deserved it, yeah.
and he's a class act.
Agreed. Andy, let me ask you this.
Yep.
Are there more wide receivers on a roster than running backs?
Yes.
So there's other positions that have more volume. Why are we minimizing the running back? Why are we buying into the narrative that the running back isn't valuable, that you can just go get somebody working, off the street and hand them the ball and they can be great at it? Like, all running backs are not created equally. So those guys
This reminded me of Bernie Parmalee. Remember him?
I do remember Bernie Parmalee. He could do it all.
Straight out of UPS.
We could put him anywhere.
No wonder I never got my package.
But when you're the best and the greatest at what you do, you should be valued according.
Sure.
Because what's going to happen eventually, you're going to have like talented running backs who say, nah, you know what? Nah, don't put me in the backfield. Put me, at tight end.
You're hearing kids
put
now.
me
I already
at wide
know, right?
receiver.
Yeah,
Where
with
you were
parents, yeah.
We're already hearing it. 'Cause
We're already hearing it.
We're at that street level where we're talking with young kids because they're contacting us about a lot of different things, NIL, whatever, and like running back's not it's not an embraceable position.
It's cornerback, it's defensive end,
and quarterback
and left tackle,
and quarterback.
and quarterback.
Everybody wants to throw the ball now. There's 60
because they
million
know
a
where
year.
the money's at, and that's where they want to play their kids. We're hearing it
Yeah.
from everybody that we
Yeah.
talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I agree with that.
You feel me on that?
Yeah, I do.
Just
I
a
do.
little bit.
I feel you on that. It's just a supply thing. I think it's just very easy to replace a running back versus those other positions from the perspective of the organization, and that's why, it's a business at the end of the day. So when these players hold out, kind of what Jimmy did, I don't hate on it. Because that same organization will cut you and move on to the next guy.
Oh, you believe
So
that?
if you have value and you have leverage over the organization, use it.
Think about some of the NFL guys that have been cut over the course of time. Joe Montana, Emmitt Smith, Franco Harris, God rest his soul, back when. Terry Bradshaw, I think, retired. But, like, you can just go on. There's just been a who's who of just John Bosa, or one of the Bosa
Brothers got cut, yeah.
got cut today.
Yeah.
He's been there 9 years. It's crazy. He's 9 years, right? But,
Yeah.
like, this is a business, man. Keyon told us in the last podcast, about, the whole circumstances with it's a business. You got to, and hearing it from a former professional athlete, there's two sides of an argument, man.
Did you ever go through a holdout?
No. See, and I think this is the problem that a lot of people don't understand. It's really only the superstar players that have that leverage to be able to go guts, to be able to hold them, to be able to play, boot
poker.
rate.
Did you ever have a teammate in that situation?
I mean, you see it all the time.
Right.
You have
No, because my question is going to be like, what was like the vibe between the organization, the team, players around that situation?
The
Are they
climate.
talking? Yeah, the climate. What's the climate like?
players are professional. They understand it's a business, but also they understand that it's a short window. So if we're here, like, let's lock in.
Mm-hmm.
Usually you get that buy-in and that lock-in after All-Star break or after the trade deadline, when everything is, okay, this is our team, whether you're going to be here or not. Like, we got to be all in. Mm-hmm. We had a situation in Boston when I played where, there was tension between, Ray Allen and some of the guys on the team and things like that. But, like, to Ray's credit, like, okay, once he got himself healthy, he was committed to winning a championship. And we took the Heat to Game 7. We obviously lost that year to LeBron and Bosh and D-Wade, and they went on to win a championship. Now, what he did in that offseason, he was able to compartmentalize it enough where he says, okay, look, I'm going to lock in for the rest of the season. I'll deal with that in the offseason. And he made his choice from that.
So you were in that Game 6, LeBron went off.
I was there.
sitting there watching that and playing in that?
Mostly watching, but
Okay, watching. What was that?
How hot was that?
Yeah, how crazy was that? I remember watching it on TV. I was
Me
jumping
too.
out of my seat.
yeah, it was one of those moments where it was like we were all looking at each other and we just didn't have words.
Right.
You know, we were trying to figure out, okay, maybe if we hard foul them, maybe if we send them left, maybe if we double them, maybe if we, face guard them, maybe if we front them on the post. Like, no matter what scheme, anything Doc came up with from a schematic standpoint,
He was on one.
it didn't matter.
He was on.
It did not matter what you did in that moment because, like, great players have to have those kind of moments. They have to have those kind of out-of-body experiences. And what he was able to do that night, I think he shifted the mentality in the narrative around what people thought of him.
Just think about what was on the line in that game.
Man,
His
big
legacy.
Think
Everything.
about it. Everything was on it.
Yeah.
Losing to the Mavericks the year before, getting bodied by JJ Barea.
JJ.
JJ took it to him, and he had a lot, man. He came out, put his nuts out, and
that's the game 7 you guys Boston
6.
lost, but Boston lost game 7
In
the
Miami.
following game.
Yeah, in Miami.
Rondo had that massive game, big triple double,
Yeah.
on fire, right?
Yeah. Rondo.
Man, unbelievable performance. Obviously that LeBron performance, but that Rondo performance was second best in that series. Incredible series, incredible game.
So I gotta say this because
Yeah.
it's gonna be a little off the chain, but
Yeah,
y'all
that's
just
fine.
bear
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Go for
give
it.
a little disclaimer.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But we were trying to get LeBron off of his game so much, and Kevin Garnett is one of those guys. Like in the heat of the battle, he'll say anything, right? So he sweated a lot. So anytime like LeBron will walk by, like he'll blow. So like his sweat would just like kind of flow. And man, I never said this in public, but KG, every time LeBron would walk by, he'd try and bump him, like cuss him out. So one time he said, "Man, I'll go under your skirt and smell your pussy." I could not believe what Rondo was like. Take it, chill, like fuck it. Like we were, Ticket was trying to do anything he could possibly do to get LeBron off of his game. And that dude was so locked in that he didn't care about nothing Ticket said. He didn't care about none of our antics. He didn't care about anything like that. You saw a real focused and determined individual, man, and kudos to him for, showing that kind of mental toughness because a lot of people would get off their game.
How many loose screws does Kevin Garnett have?
You know what? Just in between the lines,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, he is one of the most charismatic, funny, thoughtful, he's just a great human being.
Yeah, I hated him.
He really is. But Andy, it would take him 2 hours to get himself ready to play. Wow. He would rev himself up in order to get to that moment.
Right.
And he would do the same thing, the same way, the same time, every day.
Is he like talking to himself, looking at himself?
Whatever of course.
Yeah.
He's a freaking ape,
He would talk to himself. He would go get in the steam room. He would get on the training table. He would take his coconut water with chia seeds. He would watch Family Guy. He would watch film. And then you just start seeing the shift. And then once he start blacking out, then everything else is just icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Ticket. Big Ticket.
All right, we went a little off course there.
Sorry about that.
Great
Chat.
conversation, man.
Yeah, and you might have to cut that because that was the
No way, there ain't
Oh.
cutting nothing.
Ain't cutting
man.
shit, man.
What?
No, free flowing. All right, Max Crosby. We're staying on the NFL here. $91 million guaranteed. Is he worth it?
And
I know you make $91 million in a month, but
yeah. I don't know. Based on market conditions, he is. It's just going north.
Yeah.
Next.
highest paid defensive end ever.
Yeah. Next. And the salary cap's getting bigger.
Right.
Where's it going? So how much money are the owners making?
Yeah.
Shitload.
Pay them, man. Listen, pay the guys, man.
Right.
That's what it is.
Yeah, you've always been about that.
Yeah, pay the guys. That's it, man. You're getting yours. We want ours. That's how it should be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I stand on, my Nevin Image and Likeness program.
.com, by the way, we have the domain.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, man, that's it. I stand on that shit.
Yeah.
And I'm all for the cause, man. You know what I mean? If someone's getting rich, why aren't we getting rich too? You're getting rich watching us. Who cares if you're floating the boat?
Right.
We're bringing in the TV revenues, and that's it. That's where the game's one.
Do you think he's the best defensive end in the NFL?
No,
No.
I don't. No, I don't.
Yeah, neither do I.
I think he had them in a. A lot of times these. Keyon can answer this too. He's a former professional athlete. A lot of time it has to do with the leverage and the timing of your contract
Right,
and when
timing
it
is
comes up
everything, yeah.
and how market conditions are. And has anyone done better than Kirk Cousins? Can you tell me why he wasn't sitting in between Keyon and myself inside Coleman? Please?
Is he on the target list?
Target. He should be on the IRS target list. What are you talking about, man? Dude, that guy's made $400 million. Are you kidding me?
To be mediocre at best.
What?
Don't get me started on him. I had a bet on the Falcons.
Listen, I'm telling you.
He threw 3 picks in the fourth quarter. I almost lost my shit.
Listen to me. I'm saying that it's time to really live by the sword, man. Beyond the narrative. Let's go beyond the narrative on that guy. Seriously, man. $400 million? Are you kidding me?
Actually, I would take Kirk Cousins over Tua. And I've said that to my friends.
Man,
Yeah, I would.
you tough
Listen,
on Tua.
Yeah,
Listen,
yeah,
Dr.
100%.
Dr. Phil isn't here until Friday for you.
Tough.
Oh,
Please,
man.
man.
Listen, I
Oh,
would take
God.
him in a heartbeat.
Andy, I think we got to normalize guarantees in the NFL.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You need to normalize these guys getting their market value.
Mm-hmm.
And you need guys to set the market, right? Because at the end of the day, when somebody is able to achieve and get those guarantees, now it should be a standard across the board. So those people who are in the top 5 at that position, they'll benefit from it.
Right.
So I think it's
And
good.
it's helping other players too, right?
It's good for the game. And the game is healthy.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of being in a neighborhood. The house across you went up $1 million.
Mhm.
Means your house is going up.
Yeah, your comps.
Yeah, your
Those are your
yeah.
comps.
Yeah.
Part of it.
Yeah, it's part of it.
Keon's
Yeah.
comps.
Yeah.
NFL comps, NBA comps. That's
Yeah.
what it should be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a good point.
Yep.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah. So you made a post on the New York Giants hot topic button.
Yeah.
This whole Cam Ward thing, but Aaron Rodgers worked out. We got inside that he was working out with the Giants. What are you hearing, and where's that situation right now? With
I
the
was
Giants?
told as recent as this morning that Aaron Rodgers is coming in to either work out for the Giants or they got their eyes set on him. Has nothing to do with Cam Ward. He's still their desire. That's never changed. I don't get off. You know where my information's coming from, so I don't care what anyone thinks. It's accurate and it's from sources that know. So I think whether they sign Aaron Rodgers or not, Cam Ward's always been their target. But whether they have enough capital to give Tennessee for that pick, I guess we'll see. I don't see anyone else challenging them other than the New York Jets, from what I'm being told.
Yeah. How do you think the Aaron Rodgers would fare with the Giants?
Look, Aaron is coming to the end of his career. He has shown, and history has shown, that he has not been a great mentor for guys coming behind him. And so if your franchise is looking to the future and you don't really have an opportunity to win right now, if he's not going to be that difference maker, he's not that guy you want to bring in and bring a first round pick under him to learn, because he's not going to teach you. And that's not my opinion. That's what history has shown us.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it makes sense. I think if the Giants, want Cam Ward, who's very unique, very talented, and a leader in his own right, I think you got to just go ahead and position yourself to get him.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, you don't know what you're going to get with Rodgers coming off an injury. And if you get him and go down in the draft and get a younger quarterback, will he potty train that next generation? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't speed up the learning curve for whoever they decide to take as a quarterback.
Right. What are your thoughts on Jackson Dart? And a name that came up or is coming up is Kyle McCord. Where do you see those two guys going in the draft?
Part of that question, Lane Kiffin was his coach.
Mm-hmm.
So he came from a throwing operation. I do like. It's like we said either on one of the last 2 podcasts we've done, that is the hardest position in sports to project. Quarterback. He could be all world or a bust immediately.
I'll tell you, of all the guys in the draft, he has the best mechanics and throwing motion out of all of them
Yeah.
that I've seen.
It's hard. It's just so hard to say what a guy, he could be. Listen, Mitch Trubisky went ahead of Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. where's he? He's like on his 4th team already in a week. You know what I mean? So that position is just too hard to project. It just is. I don't care who you are. Yeah. You could be Mel Kiper or you could be Jimmy the Greek. It doesn't matter. Like, you can't project.
Many scouts have gotten it wrong. I mean,
man, that is just the hardest. You got to let these guys play, and you know what you got.
Right, right.
And that's it. That's it.
Right.
I think a thing that like helps him is because when you play in the SEC, there's only 2 conferences better than the SEC, and that's the NFC and the AFC.
Yeah, good one.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
So,
Good one.
like, he's put up numbers. He's been, coached under Lane Kiffin, who's been around, right, on multiple levels and things like that. So, he has, all the aesthetics. When you look at him, he exudes quarterback.
Yeah,
So, I like him.
yeah.
I think he's solid.
I think so too.
Yeah,
He
I
might.
think so too.
He might come in. He might be a steal.
Right.
He may be a steal.
Right.
But there's
Do you
also.
think he creeps up into the first round?
I think he does. Yeah, I actually think he does.
Right, right. Some are saying he may go top 10.
Wouldn't be shocked.
Right.
Teams need quarterbacks.
Yeah.
If you don't have one, you're in trouble.
And they're talking about the Raiders moving up to the number 2 pick to get Shador.
I've heard that. I've also heard his stock is dropping immensely.
Yep.
Is either one of them right?
Mhm.
Who knows? They're both gossip tips.
Yeah. Yeah, Tom McShay says he was in his podcast, he was talking about he may be sitting there for a while before he gets his name called.
Yeah. I'd be
Shador.
surprised about that if that happens that way. I would be surprised if that happens. I don't know. I told you what I thought. I think they have him really, really high. And I don't think he's deserving of that type of look. I don't see him as a top 5 NFL pick. I just don't. I think it's such a quarterback desperate league that he's in a top 5 situation potentially.
Right.
But I don't think he's a top 5 NFL talent.
Right.
Draftable anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, everything that I've seen, it's like 50-50. Some people love him. Some people don't think he's a first rounder. Some people think because of the name is where, because of the status he has, his last name, that's why he's, considered a top pick. We'll see, man. It's like you said. Who knows?
You can't. It's
knows?
impossible.
Yeah.
It's just impossible to project. I don't care who you. Yeah, this guy, Jaden Daniels he was on the scrap heap.
Mhm.
All of a sudden he goes to LSU, he comes out of nowhere, wins a Heisman Trophy. Now he's like the next big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd that come? It was an unbelievable evolution and progression out of fast.
Mm-hmm.
You never know when the light goes on for a quarterback. Sam Darnold was a bust
Mm-hmm.
playing for the Jets.
So they lift the franchise tag on Sam Darnold. Where do you think he ends up? I thought he had a pretty decent season with the Vikings. He did look like shit in the playoffs, but what are your thoughts with him? I guess they're going to give McCarthy the shot.
Yeah, I mean Tennessee could be a landing spot for Sam Darnold.
Mm.
They pick up some capital from
Move
trading
back.
out of the first draft, and they
Yeah.
sign Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
3-year deal.
So do you think there's any possibility Tennessee stays with that first pick? Because I've heard you say that it's for sure.
I'm from based on what I've been shared with me, it's New York or New York.
Mm-hmm.
Giants want him. Jets got more to offer him, and they both need a quarterback.
Right. Yeah. It's going to come down to the Giants, how much of the mortgage, how much of the future they're going to want to mortgage.
If they didn't win, my prediction is spot on, and the only thing I'm waiting for to finish the daily double
Yeah.
is the offense coordinator.
Were you ever on a team that was tanking to get a lottery pick?
Yeah, New Jersey Nets.
Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't just taking to get a lottery pick. They were taking to try and get room
But
to bring in a big 3.
Was there conversation?
I mean, you trade Vince Carter, who was an all-star. You trade Devin Harris, who was an all-star. You get, you play nothing but young guys. Yeah, it's a conversation. You kind of know
What's going on?
You kind of know what it is. For the most part.
Yeah.
If you don't know, you can read in between the lines.
You don't think they brought in Brian Dable and said, look, let's shut it down this
They
season?
did, because, man, they suck. There's no excuse for how bad they were.
Right.
Then they decide to go and win a game
Right.
when you're about to get paid.
I know. Makes no sense.
It's like my girlfriend leaving me. Where's she going? The bag's just showing up.
All right, with that, man. Boys, great show. Catch us on the next one. We out.
Airy on the narrative. Best in class, so pray for my peers. Slingshot bullet that's clear. Your weak shots couldn't pierce through bulletproof ears. A martyr, a menace. I'm leading horses to drink and pulling teeth like I'm feeding the dentist. Beyond the narrative.